ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं सात्वैलं स्वावधूतं परिजनासाहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीष्णुगोपिका राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Shashwin. Thank you for the wonderful Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined the group and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 3. And the text for today, Prabhuji, is text 19. So, Prabhuji, I hand over to you. Kindly guide us if you needed us to read the text or...
Yes. Well, someone can read the Sanskrit and word for word, please.
Shashwin, would you like to read the Sanskrit?
Yes, Mataji.
Shashwin, after you finish reading the Sanskrit once, then you read the line again so we can repeat after you.
Okay,
For the
Mataji.
text only. Hare Krishna, start.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोकैर्भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्ण। स्वविद्वराहोष्ट्रकारैः संस्तुतः पुरुषः पशु न यत्कर्णपतोपेतो जातु नाम गदाग्रजा। हरे कृष्ण।
Swavitvarahoshtrakare
संस्तुत पुरुषः पशु
Pashu.
न यत्कर्णपतोपेतो जातु नाम गदाग्रजा। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare
Thank
Krishna. Thank you very much, Ashwin. Would anybody like to read the translation and PowerPoint?
Yes, Mataji, I can read.
Okay.
First,
Okay.
word to word, Mataji.
Yes, word
Yeah,
to word
word to
translation
word.
and PowerPoint.
Yes.
And it's a
Swa,
long
a dog.
PowerPoint, so I can help you with it, Prabhuji. When you
Okay.
want, you can stop. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Okay. Swa, a dog.
A dog.
With Varaha, the village
Varaha,
hog leads
which
stool.
hog leads to
Stra, camel, the
the
camel.
camel.
Harai, by the asses.
Asses.
Samstuta, perfectly
Stuta,
praised.
perfectly praised.
Purusha, a person.
Dusha, person.
Pashu, animal.
And
Na, never.
never
Yet, of him.
of him.
Karna, ear.
Turn ear.
Atha, path.
Pata, path.
Upeta, reached.
Reached.
Dhatu, at any time.
To at any time. Nama,
Nama,
the holy
the
name.
holy name. Gadagraja, Lord Krishna, the deliverer from all evils. Translation: men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Ida.
The general mass of people, unless they are trained systematically for highest standard of life in spiritual values, are no better than animals. And in this verse, they have particularly been put in on the level of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Modern university education particularly prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality with which to accept the service of a greater master. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated persons move like dogs from door to door with applications for some service, and mostly they are driven away, informed of no vacancy. As dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, a man serves a master faithfully without sufficient rewards. Persons who have no discrimination in the matter of foodstuff and who eat all sorts of rubbish are compared to hogs. Hogs are very much attached to eating stool. So stool is a kind of foodstuff for particular type of animal. And even stones are eatables for particular type of animal or bird. But the human being is not meant for eating anything and everything and anything. And he is meant to eat grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, etc. Animal food is not meant for the human being for chewing solid food, and the human being has a particular type of teeth meant for cutting fruits and vegetables. Mataji, you can carry on.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. The human being is endowed with 2 canine teeth as a concession for persons who will eat animal food at any cost. It is known to everyone that one man's food is another man's poison. Human beings are expected to accept the remnants of food offered to the Lord, Sri Krishna, and the Lord accepts foodstuffs from the categories of leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Bhagavad Gita 9.26. As prescribed by the Vedic scriptures, no animal food is offered to the Lord. Therefore, a human being is meant to eat a particular type of food. He should not imitate the animals to derive so-called vitamin values. Therefore, a person who has no discrimination in regard to eating is compared to a hog. The camel is a kind of animal that takes pleasure in eating thorns. A person who wants to enjoy family life, all the worldly life of the so-called enjoyment is compared to the camel. Materialistic life is full of thorns, and so one should live only by the prescribed method of Vedic regulation, just to make the best use of a bad bargain. Life in the material world is maintained by sucking one's own blood. The central point of attraction for material enjoyment is sex life. To enjoy sex life is to suck one's own blood, and there is not much more to be explained in this connection. The camel also sucks its own blood while chewing the thorny twigs. The thorns the camel eats cut the tongue of the camel, and so blood begins to flow within the camel's mouth. The thorn mixed with the fresh blood creates a taste for the foolish camel, and so he enjoys the thorn-eating business with false pleasure. Similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists who work very hard to earn money by different ways and questionable means, eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. Therefore, the Bhagavatam has situated these diseased fellow among with the camels. The ass is an animal who is celebrated as the greatest fool, even amongst the animals. The ass works very hard and carries burdens of maximum weight without making profit for itself. The ass is generally engaged by the washerman whose social position is not very respectable. Prabhuji, there is that small paragraph. Should I read that or should I continue?
Yes, yes, please do.
Human life is meant for earning values. This life is called arthatam, or that which can deliver values. And what is the greatest value of life? It is to return home back to Godhead. As indicated in the Bhagavad Gita 8.15, one's selfishness must be aimed at the point of going back to Godhead. The ass does not know his self-interest, and it works very hard for others only. A person who works very hard for others only, forgetting his personal interest available in the human form of life, is compared to an ass. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is said, Astitim Chatuраschaiva Laksham Tanjiva Jatisu Brahmadriha Purusha Brahmyam Manushyam Janma Paryayat Tadapi Abhayalatam Jata Tesham Atmabhimananam Varakanam Anashrita Govinda Charanadvayam. The human life is so important that even the demigod in the higher planets sometimes aspire for a human body on this earth, because in the human body only can one easily go back to Godhead. In spite of having obtained such an important body, if one does not establish his lost eternal relation with Govinda, Lord Krishna, he is certainly a fool who has forgotten his self-interest. The human form of the material body is obtained by a gradual process of evolution to one body after another in the cycle of 8,400,000 varieties of life. 8,400,000. And the poor man, forgetting this importance for his own interests, involves himself in the so many illusionary engagements for uplifting the position of others as a leader of political emancipation and economic development. There is no harm in trying for political emancipation or economic development, but one should not forget the real aim of life. All such philanthropic activities must be dovetailed to returning to Godhead. One who does not know this is compared to the ass who works only for others without their or his own welfare in the mind. The ass is generally engaged by the washerman, whose social position is not very respectable. And the special qualification of the ass is that it is very much accustomed to being kicked by the opposite sex. When the ass begs for sexual intercourse, he is kicked by his fair sex, yet he still follows the female for such sexual pleasure. A henpecked man is compared, therefore, to the ass. The general mass of people work very hard, especially in the age of Kali. In this age, the human being is actually engaged in the work of an ass, carrying heavy burdens and driving thela and rickshaws. the so-called advancement of human civilization has engaged a human being in the work of finance. The laborers in great factories and workshops are also engaged in such burdensome work, and after working hard during the day, the poor laborer has to be again kicked by the fair sex, not only for sex enjoyment, but also for many household affairs. So, Srimad Bhagavatam categorization of the common man without any spiritual engagement in enlightenment into the society of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses is not at all an exaggeration. The leader of such ignorant masses of people may feel very proud of being adorned by such number of dogs and hogs, but that is not very flattering. The Bhagavatam openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the science of Krishna, such a leader is only an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is never given a place in the category of man on account of his atheistic temperament. Or in other words, such godless leaders of dogs and hog-like men are bigger animals with the qualities of animals in great proportion. Hare Krishna.
We can stop here for now.
I've read the whole purport.
Yeah, we can
Prabhuji.
stop at this point. Thank you very much. It's a long purport. Thank you all very much for allowing me to have your association. So we're continuing our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2. Today's chapter is 3, Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart, text 19. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So this is a famous verse which is quoted very often by Srila Prabhupada and other Vaishnavas. Swavidvara hostakadai samstuta purusha pashu na yet karna pato peto jatu nama gadagraja. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. A very strong purport, commentary by Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharyas, an ideal text and purport, we might think, for a sannyasi, someone in the renounced order, to speak upon. Srila Prabhupada has commented that guru means heavy with knowledge. And that knowledge is meant to destroy suffering. Krishna, Harichanaya Sadhanam Vanashya Tuduskatam, Dharma Samstapanatya, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. He descends again and again to deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants, and reestablish religious principles. And Krishna loves us. He loves just as we, the different parts of our body, the arms and legs, fingers, nose. We care about these parts because they're part, we think they're part of us, they're part of our body. And we, Mamai Vamsho Jivaloka Jivabhuta Sanatana, we are the tiny spiritual sparks of Krishna. We are part of him. just like our thumb is part of us, part of our body. And Krishna cares about us very, very much. Krishna is full of love. Krishna is love. When we hear the different narratives from Srimad Bhagavatam and the other Vaishnava scriptures about Lord Krishna, we're hearing the pure devotees glorify Krishna. And Krishna is all about deep, deep, inconceivable love. And he wants the best for everyone. Govinda, Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya, Jagadataya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namah. So Srila Prabhupada has also instructed us that sometimes, at least in some cultures, when a child is too bad, or a young adult not listening to the mother or father, they'll have an aunt or uncle discipline the child because the child will listen to them, respect them more, perhaps, take them more seriously. And so Krishna, he puts us, the conditioned souls, under the control of Durga, Maya Devi. And her thankless task is to beat us back to Godhead. She has a thankless task, just like a mother or father usually don't enjoy strongly chastising or even physically chastising their children, but it must be done. It is for their best benefit. When the child runs into the street and the mother follows behind and grabs the child and shakes the child fiercely, you don't do that, and scares the stool out of the child. It is for the best benefit of that child that they don't get run over by a vehicle. And although good-hearted people don't like to see anyone yelled at or beaten, it is a nice sentiment, but the fact is, in this world, we humans often need significant force to correct ourselves. We can be so stubborn, right? Aren't we? Even we know, oh, I shouldn't eat this thing. Still we do it. Our mind is so stubborn. And other things. And we have been in this cycle of birth and death for many hundreds of births, thousands of births, millions of births. And we have very deeply rooted thinking patterns that are hard to fix. And sadly, unfortunately, it is often the case that suffering is the thing that motivates us, isn't it? We finally get tired of the suffering from drinking too much or eating some particular food that causes us suffering. And then we decide I will change my habits, but only after significant trouble. It's true, isn't it? Sometimes we have seen people, even our own self, so stubborn, and it seems to take so much suffering for someone to change. So the teacher or a parent or an employer, a superior, sometimes often has the thankless task of speaking very strongly. And it must be done. You know, if the parent or the manager or the leader thinks, the supervisor of the department thinks that, oh, I don't want to offend this person. I don't want to say something they don't like to hear. I don't like to see how their face looks when I say strong things. But then we should not be a leader. We should not be a parent. We should not be a manager or supervisor because it is needed. And actually, Srila Prabhupada has instructed us that it is the career. It is part of the job description of the spiritual master to chastise the disciple, just like a coach. Maybe some of us know, have been involved in sports or the armed services. They're very, very chastising. In the army, the training is so severe because the person is going to be on the battlefield and there's bullets flying around. There's so much fear. And one has to become conditioned. One has to toughen up, to put it simply. Uh, and coaches, they often yell very strong things at the athletes. Why are you so lazy? Why are you so incapable? What's the matter with you? Or the teacher will say a little strongly, you're so stupid. What's the matter with you? And it's not meant out of meanness or out of a personal attempt to hurt the person, but it works, doesn't it? The person picks up and gets moving, don't they? They do. You know, the employee, the child, the wife or the husband, whoever it is, they get the message, right? So here in this purport, it's very strong, speaking about men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. That's very offensive. If we were to go outside right now and say to someone that you're really like a dog, it would be really, I mean, even small, I mean, especially in this age of Kali, I think, at least for some people, you can say the slightest thing and they become so offended, isn't it? Think about the workplace. You say the slightest thing about how they might not be doing their work correctly. Oh, they get so offended. What to speak? What to speak if you're actually like a camel or an ass? So it's very pinching. It is. It's very pinching. And how Srila Prabhupada is talking here. Modern university education prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality by which to accept a position uh, to a greater master. After finishing so-called education, the so-called educated person moved like dogs. I mean, for those of us who have gone through uh, undergraduate and graduate school to hear this, what's what's this? Number one, I'm a so-called educated person. And then number two, I'm moving around like a dog looking for work. What? How does this person, how do they get off saying these things? Uh, just so harsh. But we can step back and at least uh, for us who are on the spiritual path, uh, we can understand where Srila Prabhupada, where the Vaishnavacharyas, where Krishna, because this is Srila Vyasadeva. This is Lord Krishna. Abhajanati Mamudha, Lord Krishna says, that those who are asses, they think I have an ordinary material body made of flesh. He says mudha, ass. And it's true, uh, especially in America and a little less in the EU and UK. But especially in America, in the past 15 years, there's been such they call it the woke movement, being awake, being politically correct, being very careful to say the right thing, don't say anything to offend anyone, walk on eggshells around everyone. And many, many people realize this is just ridiculous. It is, It is so weak-minded, actually. Weak-minded and short-sighted, sentimental. Of course, we should not go out of our way to offend people or cause violence, but sometimes it's necessary. So from the Vedic viewpoint, we have the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, different occupational natures, and it is considered, and it is uh, a higher platform, a more empowered ability. The Kshatriyas, they are able to manage and lead others with force as necessary. They're independent. They have an independent occupation. And the Vaishyas also, they start their business and they employ other people. So they're independent. This ability, because what happens when we're not independent, then we often have to sacrifice values. If we are working for someone, if we are under someone else's control, then we often have to put up with situations that we don't like, or we have to sacrifice different values working for someone. So it is, everything has different perspectives. We are all responsible to care for our families, and we do that the best way that we can, and that's very good. But from another perspective, uh, it is dogs or cats. They must have an owner. They can't eat otherwise, a dog or a cat. Of course, they can live in the street. There are homeless people who somehow eat. But the point is that they're not independent. They don't have the ability. And therefore, and also humans uh, who are not independent, not that they're dogs, but just in this particular uh, point of not being independent. That's all. That's what this means. It doesn't mean that they're dirty dogs or something, but just dependent. And in the age of Kali, Kalo Sudra Sambhava, it is said everyone is born uh, with the psychic mentality of a Sudra without proper training. There are exceptions. So then in the next purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about eating, because the verse is that men were like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. So it is being described. So the dog, and now the hog. What is the nature of a hog? It just eats anything and everything. It even eats stool. And why should we as a human eat nasty, low-grade food like a hog? That's so it's again, you're a human being. Don't act like a dog, camel, hog, or an ass. This is the point. And then in the next purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the camel, which uh, hits practically everyone where it hurts, because it is such a integrated activity of human life, sexual activity. But Srila Prabhupada points out that, and it's true, the camel eats uh, branches, leaves, and they have thorns. And the thorns prick their tongue and there's blood. The camel enjoys the blood along with the leaves. doesn't obviously doesn't think that, oh, this is my own blood. So in some classes we've spoken about intoxication, right? How someone who's drinking alcohol and they're driving in the middle of the road and they don't even know it. They're just dull-headed, intoxicated, not seeing something for what it is, intoxicated, dull-headed. So the camel we might say is the alacrity. There's a word, alacrity. It means that the thinking process is very crisp and sharp and bright and alive, not dull like a goat, you know. So Srila Prabhupada writes, a person who wants to enjoy family life or the worldly life of so-called enjoyment is compared to the camel. Materialistic life is full of thorns, and so one should live only by the prescribed method of Vedic regulations just to make the best use of a bad bargain. Life in the material world is maintained by sucking one's own blood. The central point of attraction for material enjoyment is sex life. To enjoy sex life is to suck one's own blood, and there's not much more to be explained in this connection. The camel also sucks its own blood while chewing thorny twigs. The thorns mixed with fresh blood create a taste for the foolish camel, and so he enjoys the thorn-eating business with false pleasure. Similarly, the great business magnates, industrialists who work very hard to earn money, eat the thorny results of their actions mixed with their own blood. So there are extremes of this. There is psychological illness where people derive crazy pleasure from suffering. But on a lower, less intense level, even just living in this material world, there's so much suffering, so much suffering. You know, Maya, what is the definition of Maya? Who remembers? What is one definition of Maya? Anyone? A definition of Maya. Maya is
Illusion.
what?
Illusion. Maya is illusion.
Illusion. That which is not. When that which is not, when we see something and we think it's something else, that is Maya. When we're walking in the desert or very hot day, you look at the sand, sometimes it looks like there's water. There's no water. So that's Maya. And it goes back to this alacrity. It goes back to this being awake and sharp, bright-minded instead of dull-headed, thinking that, you know, TGIF, that sums it up. This, thank God it's Friday. Many of us have direct experience of this, isn't it? We ourselves, maybe, or other workers around us, can't wait till Friday. Don't like this, don't like the boss, don't like but I will be happy on the weekend. This isn't a Hare Krishna belief system or some kind of foaming at the mouth religious belief. It's real. It's sad, really, very sad. I think I shared, I was working in one business, they had a factory, and I heard the workers, you know, can't wait. It was miserable. It was kind of cold and damp sometimes. And of course, there's no bliss in fixing automotive parts, you know, unless you're doing it for Krishna. And so dry and empty. And can't wait till, and then we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I swear to you, I tell you, a number of times on Monday, they would come back and I would walk through and I would hear, oh, I'm so sick. I feel bad. I drank too much. I ate too much. That's hard. You know, we speak about going to hell. That's hell. You're in some place and you don't feel happy. Uh, much of the time. And then you look forward to, oh, I'm going to eat, I'm going to have uh, sex, and I'm going to have do this and do that. And it's really so empty. And then suffering too. More, I mean, there's more complications. So this particular paragraph is speaking about sexual desire. And so we as humans, we have that. It is a primal, uh, a primal urge of our material bodies. And in civilized life, so we get married and raise children, uh, and thinking we will be. I mean, of course, there are children who aren't wanted, but most of the time, I think, uh, husband and wife, we want children. We're going to have children. Can't wait to have children. But it's not nearly what it sometimes seems to be, or what it could be, or what we thought it would be. Certainly not what modern marketing and advertising presents it to be. You know, you can try it, but it's true. If you're on a city street and you look up, someone else will look up. And after some time, everyone, not everyone, but a number of people will be looking up, right? Because other people are doing it. Like, oh, what's up there? Must be something good or interesting. And so when there's more energy and more focus upon something, naturally we become attracted. Something that's attractive is attractive. And when there's a lot of attention, whatever it may be, which is the idea of modern advertisement, right? You see, I don't know about there, but no more. But in America, there used to be these big signs on the side of the road for cigarettes. Now, if cigarettes aren't the perfect example of Maya, I don't know what is. So there was a brand of cigarettes. It was called Cool with a K, Cool. And so on the side of the road, there would be a picture of the cigarettes. And then in the background, there would be a mountain stream and a forest. And it's very cool, but it's hot cigarette smoke. So that's Maya. And there's so much focus upon it. And you're in school and high school, and people are smoking. I guess I should smoke. I mean, if I don't like it, I better get used to it because I must be some strange person. Terrible, terrible. And so you become married, so much effort and challenges and difficulties. That same place where I worked. So it was a number of brothers. So one of the brothers was managing there. So I remember one day, it was clear as a bell. So he was on the phone. He was talking to his wife or something. How's everything? It was like 4 in the afternoon or something, late afternoon. No, it was later than that. So he said, so what's for dinner? And he said, oh, there's nothing left. All of you already ate. Oh, I'll get something. Poor guy. And I watched him. I mean, not that I'm terribly different, maybe a little different, but I watched him. I mean, he was right out of the Bhagavatam. It was, the particular business, it was a lot of cash. His pockets were always full of money. And his daughter and wife would come in, and he would just give them lots of money, and they were buying all these expensive things. And the poor guy, oh, what's for dinner? Oh, we ate it. And he told me that before I had come on board, uh, he had he had coughed up a piece of his esophagus or something from an ulcer. So much, so much. There's a lot of money. You know, he had a good amount. He wasn't terribly wealthy, but he had a good amount of money. Uh, upper class, and just money all over the place, and Gucci handbags and expensive vacations. But he was always in anxiety. So much. He looked like a tortured soul much of the time running that business to maintain. I mean, he was a good family man. He was, as far as husbands go, he's very devoted and responsible, working hard, everything for his family. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is speaking about. The camel, that I am working so hard all this thing, and I'm coughing up my stomach, and sometimes I don't have dinner to eat. And then I go home and I'm interested in some sexual activity with my wife, and I have to make sure she's happy, so she's interested in that thing. And then even that, you know, another Maya, really, the mind makes so much of physical, sexual pleasure, but it's so quick. And then, like ice cream, right? Oh, this is very delicious ice cream. Let me have another scoop. Let me have another. And then you get sick of it. No more. Don't talk to me about it. And everything is like that, isn't it? Even this sexual activity. So intense for humans. So much is made of it in the advertisements and movies. And that's what I was saying, looking up. It people, the magazines, so much conversation about it. Because it is because for the material body, I mean, what do we have? What do we have? We have our tongue, and that's you can get a lot of pleasure from our tongue. And then you can see things, you can look at different things, and you can hear music, uh, smell cologne, perfume, flowers, and sexual pleasure. Uh, Nice soft pillow and sheets on the skin, or the breeze, nice cool breeze on a hot day. So, this is our pleasure as humans. The things of the skin and the nose and the mouth, all these things. And that's all there is. That's all there is. TGIF. If I can, I'm going to go to this restaurant Friday night. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat that. We're going to go to this place. We're going to go on this vacation. Uh, I'm going to meet with my wife, my husband, my lover, all these things. Um, but it's mixed with thorny twigs, right? Almost all the time. You have the best dinner and you get indigestion, or your teeth hurt, or very expensive. Oh, how am I going to pay for this? When will I pay my credit card? The vacation. There's so much anxiety, so much trouble, and it's so quick. So the camel, dull-headed. Another example is given of the donkey. I think Srila Prabhupada will speak about it. Here it is. The ass is an animal who is celebrated as greatest fool. The ass works very hard, carries burdens of maximum weight, without making profit for itself. And the special qualification of the ass is that it is very much accustomed to being kicked by the opposite sex. When the ass begs for sexual intercourse, he is kicked, yet he still follows. And it's true, they do. And a kick from a dog is, whoa, really pain. You think your wife gives you a hard time. Think a human wife. Think about a donkey. uh, a henpecked man is compared, therefore, to an ass. In the age of Kali, the human being is actually engaged in the work of an ass, carrying heavy burdens, driving tela and rickshaws. What I was speaking about, the laborers in factories and workshops are also engaged in burdensome work. And after working hard during the day, the poor laborer has to be again kicked by the fair sex. So whether we're man or woman, we're in the material conception of life, we want to be happy by our bodies, uh, man or woman. And the man, uh, for his side of it, um, just like it's described here. This is like, because this is life. This is the paradigm. This is the a paradigm means worldview or uh, the ontological conception of being. It all goes back down to what we have discussed before of identity, that I am this material body, and this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be married. I want to be married for different reasons. Uh, but if we look at it, if we step back and look at it, all of us, whether we're man or woman, we're putting up with so much in the name of trying to get happiness in this material world. And the woman, I mean, the man, being compared to the ass, uh, and especially for a materialistic man, uh, either accumulating money or having sex. There's nothing more, nothing more. All of that working, and it's just, and the proof of it is that if there's no sex, the man goes away, or the marriage can become greatly disturbed. That's the proof of what it's really based upon, or largely based upon, especially for depending upon the materialism. Uh, but then, then women too. You want another child? Really? Really? After going through all that? You have two or three already? Another? Oh, they're so cute. I just want to have another baby. What about all of that? You know? I don't want to get too far into it, but it's you know, childbirth, carrying a child, and childbirth and raising children. It's a labor of love, no doubt, but it's a labor, getting up at whatever wee hours of the morning to take care of the children, especially, even nowadays, in our so-called modern conception of marriage, still the woman is cooking and cleaning and taking care of the child, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. For what? The smiles of the children. Oh, mommy, I love you. And the husband giving a hug or gifts or kisses or whatever, companionship, food. So this is our life in this material world. And the point of this, the chapter is pure devotional service. Uh, as Srila Prabhupada says, so Srimad Bhagavatam's categorization of the common man without spiritual enlightenment into the society of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses is not at all an exaggeration. And the leaders of such people may feel very proud uh, by being adored by such a number of animalistic people, but that's not very flattering. If you have a bunch of people who aren't very enlightened and they think you're very wonderful, so what? It's not very. But if you have some educated, cultured people who think you're very wonderful, well, that means more, isn't it? So Srila Prabhupada says that uh, a leader who has no taste for the science of Krishna is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as a powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but he's nothing but an animal. Like you see sometimes men, oh, he's such a handsome man with his suit and this and that. But inside, it's just an animal, really, because the interests aren't any different than the dog. Just wants to eat and sleep and have sex, and that's it. That's all that dogs and hogs do. It doesn't matter how well dressed or how well spoken or how strong they are. So this is where we're coming from, where Krishna is coming from, because we're meant for so much better. We're meant to have so much more, and we can have so much more, and we should have so much more. We should not deny ourselves, I think. We should not be denied from having our spiritual birthright to enjoy boundless happiness beyond materialistic pleasures. We don't need to have so much sex and eat and have so many things and go places to be happy. We really don't. There is an ocean of Brahmastokyam within us, which we can gradually access, which is good. I won't get caught up in having so many children. Thank God. And I won't have to drink so much and smoke these cigarettes and do all these things that actually bring me suffering in the future. How wonderful that is. How very wonderful it is. But for those who are addicted to that, that's called the rakshasa. That even if you tell them these things, oh no, I want to have my suffering material life. I'm not going to give that up. You guys are crazy. Right? They speak like that. You guys are nuts. Because they're so fallen. They're just so buried in that. Just don't understand. So therefore it's said that this spirituality is more attractive for those who are, depending on how done we are with material life. It is almost required that we have a pessimistic bad taste for ordinary materialistic life to advance in Krishna consciousness. We have to. We can't be holding two things. We won't go very far holding on to materialism. And so as I started, so that is Maya's task. That is Durga Devi's task. She has her trident, and she is piercing us with Adhyatmic, Adhibodhic, Adhidaivic. We're trying. We're thinking, isn't it? Our mind is thinking, oh, I'll do this and I'll be happy. But then, oh, Durga stabs us. Oh, yeah. There might be, it's not that there isn't pleasure, but then there's a lot of thorns mixed in with it. That's the thing. So that's Maya's business, is to stick us with the thorns so that what am I doing? Why am I so attached to it? Is there something else? Yes. There's Krishna prema. There is Krishna prema, love of Krishna. Instead of loving, awaken our original attraction for the spiritual dimension and become detached from this thorny material area. Param drisvar nivartate, that as we experience a higher pleasure, then we of course why should I eat vomit if I can eat halva? I mean, that's very graphic, but why do something that's suffering if we can do something else, right? So that I think the Hare Krishnas aren't crazy. We're just brilliant. We are brilliant, really. Brilliant. Krishna is brilliant, and we as spirit soul are brilliant. So how fortunate we are, all of us, to have the association of these pure devotees uh, within Srimad Bhagavatam. of course, our Srila Prabhupada, who is present in so many ways to encourage us, sometimes by chastising, speaking very strong words. I know sometimes I don't like to read Srimad Bhagavatam because it's so pinching, but we should do it anyway. See, that's the thing. We should, I'm not going to like this, but I have to do it because if I'm not reminded, then I can be more attracted to the suffering. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is described as a medicine, and it is. And I don't hesitate to say that gently, that it's not always pleasant or a fun thing to do to uh, associate with spiritual minded people because it's pinching, but we need that pinching and we need that we need their strong words to cut. The spiritual master cuts our attachment. What are you thinking of sex? Camels have sex, dogs have sex. What is so great about that? Flies have sex. Animals are eating and sleeping. Don't do that. You can do better. Don't be like a fly or a frog. It hurts. But no, you're right. You're right. I need to hear that. And we do. And it helps us, isn't it? Right? Because Maya is so sticky, right? It's just so hard to pull off, you know. So we are blessed. We are blessed to have the association of Srila Prabhupada and our Vaishnav Sampradaya. So a little late. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. I know we have exhausted our time, but we can take one or two questions if there are any burning ones.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji, so much for this wonderful session. This is a harsh reality statements from Prabhupada from the purport. He has compared the non-devotees to asses and camels and is it I was thinking the devotees who take up to brahmacharya ashram and then directly to sannyas ashram, is it that the past experience what they have or the material allurements and then material troubles that they take those steps without going into the family grihastashram?
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada describes like this, yes. Yeah. I mean, we know from Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, there are, and there have been noticeable examples of that. We're all starting from a particular point of spiritual evolution. Even we're initiated, there's wide levels of difference. So, yeah. Now, I will say, just for the sake of saying it, although I don't think may be necessary these days, but for 98% of us, we need to be married. Even, which is an odd thing, because even after hearing this, and there's so many purports in Srimad Bhagavatam that are like this, uh, you know, I shouldn't get married. How can I get married? What a stupid thing to do. But we need it actually, most of the time, because not just head knowledge is not enough. That's the point. And so therefore we eat and we sleep and we accept marriage, producing children with a higher awareness and with an aim of making continual progress forward and being attached to Krishna, developing more love for Krishna. And we need to be careful not to go over the same thing again, but we should neither be too what's the word for it? Luxuriating and indulging, but we should not be too overly strict with ourselves either. For each of us, there's a path which is best for us, which may not be the right one for someone else, even within the realm of Krishna consciousness, and that's okay. That's expected. But it's good to hear this because that keeps us pushing and it keeps the goal in mind like that. Just real quick, I'll give an example of how bad that this can be. There was a couple a long time ago, and so they got married, and one of them refused to touch the other. I'm not this body. I'm a spiritual soul. I, why should we be touched? I don't know how they conceived children, but somehow they did. Uh, Eventually, they became divorced, and that one ended up having at least 3 children with 2 other partners because they didn't satisfy the desires that they should have satisfied in the marriage. It's ridiculous. So this is being what's the word for it? Just arbitrary and out of touch with not understanding the process of Krishna consciousness. It's a gradual process of becoming more and more attached to Krishna. And we should accept that process responsibly. Srila Prabhupada was so disgusted with men who would leave their wives. And I have personally spoken to no less than 6 or 8 women who were left alone with children, uh, you know, decades ago. Because the men were thinking, I mean, this is what they said, that, well, I want to go to Vrindavan. I want to be Krishna conscious. Just hellish. I'm embarrassed to be a man. And much more important than that, Srila Prabhupada was so disgusted because there's no question of making genuine spiritual character without being dutiful and responsible, which means doing things we don't want to do. That's one of the main things about duty. Like it, don't like it. That's I must. And my time will come when I won't have to do as much of this as I'm doing at present. And Srila Prabhupada said, all right, these men are just lazy and irresponsible. In the name of being advanced, they're giving up their duties. And it is hard. And sometimes we think like that. I just wish I could just go somewhere and just move in an ashram. But we can't. And it's good for us because the very first instruction of Bhagavad Gita, Matra Spashas Tikantayashi Toshna Shukadukada. If we can't tolerate the hassles of doing our ordinary responsibilities in Krishna consciousness, then where will be the foundation for being strict and strong in the higher advancement? This is why sometimes sannyasis and other devotees fall down, because this practical experience of living Bhagavad Gita is not there as much as it should. And so you're floating in the clouds with rasa and baba and all these things, and then you see a woman and you go away because you can't tolerate, some attraction. So it all fits together. It's a science. We may not like a coach may say, do these exercises. Why do I have to do those? What does that have to do with swimming? But he knows, or she knows, this will help you be a good swimmer. They know. You see? So it all fits together. Then when we get to be 50s, 60s, and we've lived Bhagavad Gita day in and day out with the kids screaming and the husband crazy and the wife crazy and whatever, then we're really deep, right? We're the real thing. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So basically, we shouldn't be hypocritical. What is what you're saying? Not real.
That's what Krishna says.
Real,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, don't, I mean, we know usually, don't overindulge, but don't be a hypocrite either. Don't make believe. Bhagavaru, what's that? That a man who meditates on the objects of the senses, but's meditating on them inside. What's the use of that? I'm a spirit soul. I shouldn't touch you. But meanwhile, you're thinking, oh, I wish I could have a woman. I wish. It's crazy. It's just craziness. you know. Although it seems a little confusing. And, it's like, really? But I am a spirit, aren't I? Yes, but you have a mind, you have a psyche that wants kids, that wants to make money, that wants to do art, that wants to play music. So try and find a way to weave it into your Krishna consciousness and be Krishna conscious while you're painting or playing the guitar or whatever you're doing, and carry on. Then when we talk to people, they can feel the reality. This person is real or more real. They're I don't know so much about Krishna consciousness, but I like it and I'm doing this. And I can't say I'm a very advanced devotee, but it's good. And we can say that with confidence because we're real to ourselves. We're honest. You see, someone who's dishonest, it's hard for them to have strength.
Yes,
Even
thank you.
someone is called Bhartman Pradarshaka Guru. So some devotee, they've fallen away, whatever, they're in a bar and they tell someone, you should try this chanting, Hare Krishna. I'm kind of falling away right now, but I like it. It's really good. You should try it too. So the person will see this person's being honest.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for that explanation. And we have exhausted our time and passed by 12 minutes. I apologize for that. Arya Govind Prabhu, can you please end this session for today?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful session of this part of the Bhagavatam, and especially practical tips on how to deal with our senses, and then how to dovetail all our senses and activities and mind towards Krishna consciousness on a practical basis. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I request all devotees to unmute and then chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once in glorification of His Grace, Dina Sharan Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grace Dina Sharan Prabhu ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam
I've been
Grantaraj.
I've been pushing myself to look at the deities of Krishna every day for 15 minutes. Just, what do they call it? Quality time. Just meditating on trying to, so that it is really nice. Then when I chant japa and I remember Krishna more. Duh. Right? Thank you so much for having me. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Hare
Be well,
Krishna.
be safe.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.